Okay, here's your warm-up for week 5. So again, if you did not make a 70 or above, please copy down the problems on a sheet of paper just like I'm working them out. Turn it into me or Mr. Carroll by Tuesday of next week. Okay, this was number 1. You're adding decimals, so you need to line up your decimal point. Then you start at the right-hand side, and I'm going to add 3 plus 5, which is 8, plus 1 is 9. Put the 9 down there. Then I'm going to add 4 plus 7 is 11, plus 8 is 19. Put the 9, carry the 1. Do not forget your decimal. Now I'm going to add 1, 2, and 3, and I get 6 is my answer. So my answer to this problem is $6.99. Okay, number 2, again, this was subtracting decimals, so you have to line up your decimal. I always put zeros as placeholders for the missing numbers. Now, again, I'm going to start on the left-hand side. 0 minus 7 I cannot do, so I have to borrow from the 1, which makes 10 now. So 10 minus 7 is 3. Since I borrowed from the 0, I cannot do from the 1, I cannot do 0 minus 2. So again, I have to borrow from the 7 here. It becomes a 6. That becomes a 10. So 10 minus 2 is 8. Do not forget your decimal. 6 minus 3 is 3. 3 minus 0 is 3. So my answer is 33 and 83 hundredths. I don't think that copied, but here's the work for number 3. So it was blinking as it was not copying. So here's my work. I just multiplied 3 times 5 to get 15, 3 times 2 to get 6, plus 1 is 7, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 1. Remember, you move your decimal over 2 places to the left. Okay, here's number 4 that a lot of people missed, and you missed it because you did not line up, you put your decimals in the right spot. So I have to put a decimal here in my dividend. In my divisor, I have a decimal, so I need to move it to the right one time. Monkey see, monkey do, so I have to move it to the right in my dividend. There is no number there, so I got to add a 0, then move it to the right. And remember, the monkey climbs to the roof of the house. So since this is kind of sloppy, I'm going to rewrite this. So now I have 26,460 divided by 42. So that's what the problem kind of looks like right there. Now I'm going to write it on the next page so that I have more room. So I have 42 as my divisor, 26,460 is my dividend. Now I'm just going to divide. Does 42 go into 2? The answer is no. Put a 0. Does 42 go into 26? The answer is no. Put a 0. Does 42 go into 264? My answer is yes. If I cover up the ones digit and think about 4 into 26, my answer is going to be 6. So then I multiply. I subtract. Bring down. Now, does 42 go into 126? My answer is yes, 3 times. This is what everyone got at this point. But remember, you got another 0 there in your decimal, so you have to put the 0 up here. So your answer to this problem is 630. I went ahead and copied down 5, 6, and 7 because you are simplifying the fractions. And if you're having a difficult time with this part, you can use your multiplication table, or I like to use the sled. Since we know how to use the sled, what goes into 14 and 18? Well, they're both even, so a 2. 2 goes into 14 7 times. 2 goes into 18 9 times. At that point, the only thing that goes into 7 and 9 is 1. So my answer of 14, 18 simplified is 7 ninths. Number 6, I look at 1836 and think about what goes into 1836. Well, I can use my divisibility rules. So when I add 1 plus 8, I get 9, and I know 9 is a multiple of 9. 3 plus 6 is 9. I know 9 is a multiple of 9. So I can actually factor out the 9. 9 goes into 18 2 times. 9 goes into 36 4 times. When I look at that, I know I can factor out the 2 again, because they're both even. 2 goes into 2 1 time. 2 goes into 4 2 times. So my answer to number 6 simplified is 1/2. When I look at number 7, using my divisibility rules, I know it ends in a 0 and 5, so I know 5 goes into it. 5 goes into 20 4 times. 5 goes into 25 5 times. So when I get my answer in simplest form, it's 4/5. Okay, I went ahead and wrote down 8, 9, and 10 here. Again, when I look at number 8, if I add the numbers together, 6 plus 3, I get 9, which is a multiple of 9. 8 plus 1 is 9, which is a multiple of 9. So I can factor out a 9. It goes into both of those numbers. 9 goes into 63 7 times. 9 goes into 81 9 times. So this simplified answer is 7/9. When I look at 9 and 12, well, I can't use 2 because they're not both even, but I can use 3. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 3 goes into 12 4 times. So my simplified answer is 3/4. Number 10 was the hardest one of them all because 17 is a prime number. There's only 2 numbers that goes into 17, 1 and 17. So 1 doesn't help us out, but 17 does. 17 will go into 17 1 time, and 17 goes into 51 3 times. So my simplified answer is 1/3. Okay, again, I copied the problems down. If this is going too fast, you can always pause it and everything. But here's the problems. 8 and 18. Well, what goes into 8 and 18? Well, I know they're even, so 2 goes into 8 4 times. 2 goes into 18 9 times. So my simplified answer is 4/9 because nothing goes into 4 and 9 but 1. Same as number 12. When I look at 4 and 30, I know they're both even, so 2 goes into every even number. 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 goes into 30 15. The only thing that goes into 2 and 15 is 1, so my answer is 2/15. Just like number 13, what goes into 2 and 12? Well, they're both even, so 2 goes into 2 1 time. 2 goes into 12 6 times. So my simplified answer is 1/6. So remember, you can use the sled. You can do anything you really want to for this. If you don't like using the sled, like for number 13, you can just set it up, and then people divide by the greatest common factor. You still get the same answer. Or if you want to check your multiplication table with your ratios, you can do that. I'm on number 14. Anita bought 3 bags of sugar. Each bag weighed 36 8/10 ounces. So I'm going to multiply 3 times 36 8/10. Remember, do not worry about the decimal. I'm just going to move it over 1 time after I finish multiplying. So now I'm going to multiply. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 6 is 18 plus 2 is 20. 3 times 3 is 9 plus 2 is 11. I start at the end, move my decimal over 1 time to the left, so my answer to this problem is 110 4/10 ounces, which the answer would have been C. And I'm not going to write number 15 down. It's a word problem. In a recent survey, 5/8 of the owners, and when I see that word of means to multiply, allow their pet to go outside. Of these, 1/3 allows them outside without supervision. So this was the problem was, and it just asked you what the operation was, so 5/8 times 1/3, and the answer for this one is C. So remember, make sure you write this down, put warm-up number 5 on it, and turn it into Miss Carol or myself by Tuesday. Hope this helps.